we would have given 25-30 pitches at least. Not everyone was a yes. 60-70% of the rose, right, is imported from India. Go to Europe, right? They bottle the same oil and sell it 10x.
About 68% people mentioned that they use Zara for their everyday use because there is no other option.
Very, very big issue is largely all the fragrances smell very, very synthetic in nature. They smell cheap, right? Very gives sometimes a headache as well.
Perfume talent in India. We surprisingly, in India when we were researching, there are multiple perfumers available who are very good at their craft. People generally, and they're working for, Western and European brands, which we feel that, as a country, we should really inculcate that talent.
And even the fog is slightly older, but they shifted the Indian consumers from X to fog. Then these companies came, which changed the consumer pattern behavior from deos to perfume.
A couple of orders that the consumers had placed, they received an empty packet. And unfortunately, one of the orders was from our investors. Which funnily, the last experience that we wanted.
Today on the Startup Caffe podcast, we are joined by two young Indian founders who are building one of the most exciting new fragrance brand, Fifth Sense. Prateek Gupta and Bharat Gupta, both IIM alumni, are reimagining the perfume space for the modern Indian with an emotion-led story. Their vision has already caught investor attention with them raising 6.3 crores recently as pre-seed funding. From building a product that people wear and building a brand that people feel, their journey is just getting started. So let's go ahead and dive into the story behind Fifth Sense and the minds shaping its future. Hi.
Hi.
Such a pleasure to meet you guys.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Youngsters building a big company.
Definitely.
Great. So why don't we start with a little bit of info about both of you. You can start, Bharat.
Sure. So my name is Bharat, right? My journey, childhood has been slightly different than I think most of the founders out there.
Okay.
Spent my early days or early 20s in sports, right? I have been a national level cricketer.
Okay.
Played for Delhi for 5 years, under 16, 19, 23. So spent my early childhood in sports.
Okay.
Then did my graduation from Hindu College, University of Delhi in Commerce. Then I thought, I'll go and do my MBA. Did my MBA from IIM Kozhikode, 17-19 batch.
Okay.
Was, too much keen into finance at that point of time.
Okay.
Wanted to do investment banking, private equity.
Okay.
So also completed CFA along with my MBA. Did all the 3 levels. I'm a certified charter holder as well.
Okay.
Spent couple of years into investment banking, starting with JP Morgan, then Yes Securities.
Okay.
Then went into Corp Dev, where I was doing M&A for a renewable energy company.
Okay.
Then I wanted to switch myself into more startup side of things and more broader corporate strategy roles.
Okay.
That's where I joined a startup called Healthplex. Spent 4 years there as chief of staff, led the entire corporate strategy function, did multiple 0 to 1 projects, right? And I met Prateek during my MBA days. We were roommates. We have been discussing if we want to start something on our own, right? From years now. Kept discussing ideas. Last year is when we thought now is the time. We have spent enough, years into corporates, diverse roles. We need to put our head down and start building something. That's where we are.
And what's your story, Prateek?
I was also born and brought up in Delhi, right? I was born into a business family. So business was always on the cards, right? But I thought that, completing education and getting some corporate exposure before starting something was very important to shape me as a person, to also help me get some inside understanding of how to run a startup or how to build something on your own, right? Yeah. So that led me to complete my education in mechanical engineering from Thapar in 2014. And then I went for my MBA from IIM Kozhikode, 2017-2019 batch. I did a couple of years consulting after that at Deloitte Consulting, and then switched gears to startup ecosystem. So COVID was when, startups were booming in India. People were, kind of exploring opportunities. So that is where I entered an academy, which is an edtech startup, and then to MPL and then Licious. So I've been into a consumer tech startup ecosystem for past 6 years now, which helped me sort of gain some confidence that we can start something of our own. And as Bharat mentioned that we have been kind of discussing a lot about building something. So last year we decided to take the plunge.
So you could have built anything, but how did you arrive at fragrance as a category?
So I think, see, largely there were 2 points, right? We wanted to build something where we are really passionate about. We can spend 365 days, 24/7 into that thing. That was the first criteria. Second, obviously, there has to be certain market opportunity. So those were the two key pieces we were trying to solve. And there were a couple of more ideas, obviously, when we started. But then we zeroed down, something which we are really passionate about. My passion for fragrance started, I think, very, very early. During my sports days only, I used to see a lot of seniors, carrying deos. Those were the era of deos. They used to carry Nike, Adidas deos, and I used to be a lot of fascinated about it, right? That's where my journey started with deos. And then obviously slowly moving towards perfumes. Whenever I am traveling abroad, used to go to duty free. Even Dubai, when I went, right, I went to that Dubai Dera. It's a line huge of perfumes, trying hundreds and thousands of them. I think that's where obviously the interest rose. And we felt there is a very, very huge gap in the industry right now in India, which we as consumers also felt, right? That's why we started building Fifth Sense.
Okay. So this market is largely, if we talk about fragrance, it's dominated by foreign brands. Is it the correct assumption, or there have always been Indian brands as well?
No, I think I would break it down into two eras, right? Before I would say 2017, 2018, and post 2018, 2019. Before that, obviously, first of all, it was dominated a lot by DOs and then Western brands. Post 2019, there has been a wave of Indian brands like the Bella Vita, Man Company, and even the Fog. Fog is slightly older, but they shifted the Indian consumers from X to Fog. Then these companies came, which changed the consumer pattern behavior from deos to perfumes, right? And they were sort of playing. They are still now playing in a mass sort of a category, right? Sub 1,000, I would say, where they changed the behavior of consumers from deos to perfumes. But now, like with any category, be it apparel, be it fashion, be it beauty, be it sneakers, Indian consumers are premiumizing, right? Even in case of luggage, if you see the Mokoboras of the world, the Comet, the Gully Labs, now consumers are appreciating Indian brands, which sort of was not the case before, right? They used to see that Western tag and they used to be excited by that. But now they have evolved much better. I would say post-COVID, this behavior has started shifting. They have started appreciating brands which are more relatable, more culturally relevant, I would say, in Indian context, and giving a good product at a good value rather than just running behind the price point. That is what has shifted, I would say. So market was Dio initially Western brands, but last 6 years, I would say mass category brands specifically has been dominated by Indian players. The high end or the premium category is still, I think, are dominated by Western players in India.
And I think across categories, I see the Gen Zs and the Gen Ys, they're more open to exploring new brands, especially the ones which speak their language, right? Which wasn't the case earlier. Great. So now tell me a little bit about this name, Fifth Sense. Sounds very interesting. So how did this idea of this name came, and why Fifth Sense?
We wanted to name the brand which kind of embodies what we're trying to do, right? So if you look at human beings, we have five senses, right? And in today's digital world, people are only obsessed with two, which is sight and sound. They're always on the screens and always listening to or watching something. But your sense of smell is one of the most dominant senses that you have as a human being, right? Even for example, when a child is born, they can't see their mother, they can't feel their mother, they only recognize her through their sense of smell. Even animals, a lot of animals, they catch their prey through their sense of smell. So that's a sense which is very important, which drives a lot of your emotions, which is directly connected to your olfactory and limbic system. Even there are cases where, people with um, memory issues, they are treated with some fragrances and some, smell. So that's the kind of sense that we wanted to own in human beings. We felt that, nobody is kind of owning that sense for a human being. Everybody is trying to play in a very functional sort of a thing. And hence we wanted to arrive with that, that this is a sense that we will own, and hence the name Fifth Sense.
Okay, interesting. So when did this company start?
We started, researching on this idea last year in April.
Okay.
Right. So we did a lot of, I think, 3 to 4 months of deep research into it, understanding consumer patterns, understanding our behavior, analyzing, what people are picking from shelves, how do they make decisions, how do they think about fragrances. So about 3 to 4 months were spent into that, and then finally we arrived at a, space or a category or the exact thing that we wanted to build.
Okay.
And from August onwards, we started delving deep into fragrance as a product.
So this production of your product is happening in India?
Yeah, it's completely made in India.
Okay.
Apart from bottles,
Okay.
which are being imported from China.
Okay.
Obviously, we went around all the factories of India, the larger ones.
Okay.
Could not find the, I would say, right quality which we were looking for.
Okay.
So we felt right now at our stage, at our MOQs, it's better to go to China for it. Rest everything is obviously made in India. When it comes to the ingredients, right? Obviously they are globally sourced.
Okay.
Wherever it is available best, it is sourced from across the globe.
Okay. And the product is already launched?
Yeah, so we launched on 16th April. So it's been very, very new, right? It's been 2.5 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
How has been the response so far?
No, I think it's pretty decent.
Okay.
More than important, I think what we were looking for initially, right? Because the numbers obviously will grow, it will be slow. But what we are looking for is consumer love to start with. If we are able to make a dent in the experience of the consumer, they have tried multiple brands. If we are to gain that or gather that consumer love initially, I think that is what we are chasing. The response, we have closed around 400 orders till date, right? And the consumer love has been exceptional, I would say. At least people are loving, there are 4 fragrances that we have started with. People are loving at least 2 of them, right? That is a common phenomenon. And they can see clearly a difference in our mass brand or the brand we are operating in. The kind of sophistication, the richness that is there in the profile, how it is evolving throughout the day. It's pretty prominent. There's the one stronger and common feedback that we have got till date.
How did you get funding so fast? Even before you launched the product, I read that you got funded. So who are your investors and how did this happen so fast?
So we are backed by some marquee consumer investors, which was the round was led by OTP Ventures, and the participation also happened from Sadev Ventures and ISV Capital. We also have a couple of angels on our cap table. One is Rohit Kapoor, who is the CEO of Swiggy Food, and Amit Damani, who is the founder and CEO of Stay Vista.
Okay.
So, our journey for funding was about 4 month long period. Like when we started developing our product in August, that was the time when we started approaching investors. Those were initial some discussions that we, wanted to get a foot into the door that this is something that we're trying to build. What are your opinions? One thing which helped us, kind of propel to this funding was that we had our product and everything ready before, we approached investors. So that we had something to show to them that this is our product, this is what we have developed over the past 1 year, and this is what we are going to sell in the market. More so, I would say that, this was the product side of thing, but how we were approaching the fragrance as a category was very different, right? Until now, fragrance has been sold in a very functional manner that, you apply this fragrance, it will last you 12 hours, it will make people attracted to you, and, you will do anything.
All of them have been speaking the same language.
Yeah. So,
Especially the Dio guys.
correct.
It looks like there is same script they all follow. You spray and then the women will get attracted and all that.
Having said that, I think this worked as a strategy, right? 10 years back, it worked. So it's not that they did something wrong. It worked beautifully, I would say, right?
All of them it worked.
All of them it worked. But now, obviously, how consumers are evolving, it's no longer, just smelling great, attracting people. It is a part of your self-expression. How do you want the people to perceive around you, right? What are you feeling today? What are your emotions? What do you want, people to perceive? For example, very very interesting anecdote, right? When we were researching, so we met a lady in a mall, right? She said, as a woman, people are more accustomed that women wear fruity and floral fragrances, right? But whenever I wear them in important meetings, people don't take me seriously, right? So what I do is I sort of borrow my husband's stronger fragrance and I wear that. It makes me feel powerful. It makes me feel recognized, right? This was one very very I was important anecdote for us, right? People are not just wearing to attract, right? They are wearing according to the occasion, according to how they want other people to perceive them, and at the same time how they want to feel in that specific moment. So very very interesting case. And on the investor side, I would also like to mention one thing here, right? Even before everything happened, my ex CEO where I was working, he also put in a seed money, right? He was a first believer, which is not in the news and anything else, but he was a first believer to back us initially with a small check.
Great. But this is a very interesting thought that you just shared, that perfume may not necessarily be something which has to be fixed, right? You don't necessarily need to stick to one, and you may change it as per your mood.
Absolutely, this is happening, right? We are saying fragrance market is growing a lot. Obviously, we'll come on to the numbers, but now fundamentally, why is it growing, right? It is growing because a generation back, people used to wear fragrances, right? It has been always there, but there used to be a signature scent. That okay, now I have tried 10 fragrances. This is what I like. This is now I will wear for lifetime.
This is exactly how people like us at this age also identify with a certain perfume, right?
Correct.
Because I would like a certain perfume, I've gone through many, and now I like this and I'm going to stick to it. And that's why you have iconic perfumes like Chanel number 5, which has been there for ages, right?
Correct.
Or Mont Blanc series, Legend, for example, Mont Blanc Legend, which has been there for forever, right?
Correct.
Because people choose them and they don't part ways, right?
Yeah.
People like us. But this is a very interesting point, and I think that's how probably personal care and markets like sneakers are evolving. Earlier, जब हम छोटे थे, there used to be one leather shoe which you would wear at all occasions, right? And perfumes have been waiting for this moment to arrive, and somebody like you would say that why are you wearing the same perfume all the time? You can have different perfumes for different occasion, right? It's a very interesting thought. But I want to go back a little, and I'm just trying to jog my memory. I think the real disruptors were fog in Indian fragrance market, isn't it? Am I correct in saying that? Because earlier, uske pehle, X and all these guys were big and very dominant and established, and fog came and said that it's all air and you have to shift your thinking, right? And suddenly they became number one, isn't it? I think they put the real dent in the beginning.
What exactly they did is, right, they said you are using X, the Denver of the world, and once you spray, there's a lot of air and it's get wasted, right? So they cater to the psychology of a consumer, that we are providing more value within that same price point. I'm giving you more sprays. Obviously, that was entirely utility led, but that struck a chord with the consumer, right? At that segment, people were like, I'm getting 800 sprays or 1,000 sprays within a same price point. And I think we all felt with Dio, right? It used to just evaporate. The moment you spray, there's a lot of gas in it. I think that is what they struck. That positioning was, I think, mind blowing.
Yeah, as you rightly mentioned, it was all utility led. They didn't really talk about how it would change you as a person or what effect it will create. It was simple, make more out of.
I think it was sachetization of perfume. Like if you think about shampoos, how HULs and PNGs of the world sachetized the thing. They sachetized and gave you the value of per spray. And that's how the thinking of an Indian consumer was like a decade or 2 decades back.
But that's not the thinking now. I think as the consumers are evolving and the market is getting more mature for all these categories, people are looking for more point of views, right? Correct. How you would approach this particular segment, right? And that's where people like you come in with a fresh thought and make a dent. Now, let me go back to your company a bit and understand what is happening at the company level. How big is the company? How many people are there? Do you have specialists on, because it's a highly specialized field, right? So just like someone who's building a coffee company will have a barista connoisseur who will, you'll also have a connoisseur who will build your perfumes, right?
So I'll tell you how generally it works around in India, right? So there are a lot of contract manufacturers, obviously. You go to them, right? They have hundred of perfumes in their library. You pick something. Let's say I want an aquatic fragrance. You say them. They'll show you 10 different varieties. You pick and they'll get your product, everything ready in 30 days. Right? And that's not the approach we were willing to take. Because otherwise we won't be able to create any sort of differentiation.
ये तो फिर वही cookie cutter हो गया.
Cookie cutter हो गया, right? So just taking a step back, that is one. Second, obviously there is a huge dupe market around the world, in India as well, right? So now I like Dior Sauvage, for example, that's XXX 15K plus whatever that price is, right? I can get the same perfume positioning of obviously some companies, and there's a huge market, right? You will get the same perfume 1000 rupees, right? So there is a huge clone and dupe culture, and we were, when we started, we were again very, very, against both these approaches, because we as consumers have felt that personal pain, and our starting point was always that we want to build a product which we can be proud customers, right? So we never, starting May, we never went to any contract manufacturer. We went to a lot of perfumers, independent perfumers out of India, right? We went to Kannauj, which is sort of the Grasse of the India, right? It is more older than the Grasse, which is known as the perfume capital of India. We went to Jaipur, we went to Mumbai, we met a perfumer from Pune, met a lot of independent perfumers, right? And logged in couple of them. So we built all our fragrances from scratch, first of all. We did not take an inspiration, we did not take a library out of scent and picked a scent, right? What we started with a feeling. That is what we wanted to build, a self-expression. If I want to build a feeling of love, of comfort, of warmth, what should that fragrance be? If I want to build a mentality of an athlete, there's a fragrance called an athlete in you, what that fragrance should smell like. That was the starting point. Then we built those fragrances from scratch. We have spent 6-7 months into at least just R&D, right? Building, then once we had a sample, right? Doing a lot of iteration, doing a lot of sampling on it. That's when we logged our 4 fragrances. And that's how we are differentiating in quality. All our, ingredients are globally sourced, best of quality. We are using more natural oil than most of the brands. Our oil cost, right, individually is at least 3x of what, other brands are putting in this category. And lastly, the oil concentration. See, we have been copy pasting the European style or the Western style. There are 4-5 kind of perfumes, right? There is a cologne, there is EDT, there is an EDP. And there is a pure perfume or extrait de perfume. What is the difference is the oil concentration in each one of them. Now generally, if we see the European or the Western market, they largely operate in EDTs and EDPs. EDT is somewhere around 8 to 12%, EDP is 12 to 18%, right? It is one of the factor which decides the longevity of the perfume. It is not the only factor, but it's one of the factors. Now understanding Europe, which is a colder weather, colder environment, right? Lower oil concentration works there because your oil evaporates very slowly from your skin. In India, where we know the weather here, right? We know the kind of spicy food we eat, the ambient, lot of smells all around us. It evaporates.
Too many enemies.
Yes, it evaporates very faster, right? So we did not want to again copy paste that EDP, right? Because that's what people have been doing. So we increased the oil concentration as well. We are putting 3x the cost of oil per kg, not in just in one bottle, just per kg as well. Then we are at least 50% more in oil concentration than other people. Right? That's how we differentiated. And then obviously perfumery is not just science. It's not just, you can just have a course and learn about it. It's art. It's art as well. So the kind of craft our perfumers have, right? We combine all these three to create a product.
The ingredient you said is all Indian?
No, ingredients generally are global, right? For example, vanilla comes from Sri Lanka or Madagascar.
Okay.
So wherever that ingredient is famous,
Okay.
and obviously there are slight variations. For example, Madagascar vanilla will be slightly sweeter, obviously. Sri Lankan will be slightly on a spicier note. But now the kind of fragrance you want, the kind of profile you want, from there it will be sourced. Obviously, there are 3-4 global houses largely which controls the global supply chain of the ingredients. For example, rose, right? Now, most of the 60-70% of the rose, right, is imported from India. They go to Europe, right? They bottle the same oil and sell it 10x, for example.
Okay.
So that's how it's been controlled and regulated. But generally, ingredients are globally sourced wherever it is available best.
So your ingredients are coming from the globe, the bottle is coming from China,
Yeah.
but the soul is
Soul is Indian, the perfumer is Indian. We have spent months on it on iteration, doing a lot of tweaks, sampling with 500 plus people even before it was launched. So
your perfumes are based on emotion. Now let's double click a little bit on that. How do you arrive at what should this particular emotion smell like? How do you come to that?
Sure. So, that's where I think the art of the perfumer comes in, right? Every fragrance note in this world generally has a color and an emotion attached to it.
Okay.
Right? For example, as human beings, rose is a signature of love, right? So whenever you smell something which has rose as an ingredient, the emotions in your body will kind of, it will feel like love. Like sandalwood is, on the other hand, more calming in nature, right? That's a ingredient which has been used in ancient India for people to calm down, right? There was heat, so people used to apply chandan, right? So whenever you sniff a sandalwood note, the emotion of calmness, that clarity comes under you. So similarly in perfumery, every note is denoted by a certain emotion.
Yeah.
And that's how, when we were briefing our perfumer about what we want to kind of build, we had like a, 2-3 pager long brief that we want to,
Okay.
the kind of emotion or the kind of feeling we want the consumer to have out of it. And that's how we have combined different notes
Okay.
to get that product out.
So how many products you have right now?
We have launched with 4 fragrances.
Okay, 4 SKUs.
4 SKUs are there.
Okay.
And as a brand, what we have, and that's our philosophy going forward, that we are not going to be a fast fashion or, a fast churning SKU brand. If you look at brands which are selling fragrances, if you go to their websites, they have 50 fragrances listed. As a consumer, it becomes really difficult for you to pick one and see what you like, right? It's a decision paradox, it's a decision paralysis for you. So we are thoughtfully crafting each fragrance. We'll not be launching like in a very mass manner. Every fragrance that we launch also from here on will be thoughtful. And at max like 5 to 6 or 5 to 7 fragrances per year will be launched. So that's our
Plan right now.
plan right now.
What has been the customer response in terms of the pricing that you have? It's about 2,500 rupee for the SKUs that you have
Yeah.
for a 50 ml bottle.
Correct.
it's around 2000.
2,000. Is it like premium priced, mid priced? How is it priced vis-a-vis your other, I would say, Indian competitors in the same space?
So we are at least 1.5 to 2x premium than the other
Okay.
mass Indian brands which are out there.
Okay.
Right? And obviously, like we are almost 1/4 of the Western brands which are out there, right? So Western brands typically cost above 8 to 10,000 rupees,
Yes.
and Indian brands are typically operating between 500 to 1,000 rupees, right? This is one of the biggest insight that we had, that an affluent tier 1 or a urban tier 1 consumer who's buying Western fragrances today, right, when they are picking a 10,000 rupee bottle from a duty free, they reserve it for their special occasions because they feel that they have paid tons of money for that. They can't be using it every day and they can't afford to use it every day, right? On the other hand, that person has graduated or elevated from the mass brands which are out there, right? Every person wants to move ahead in life. They want to, premiumize their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So people are looking for options which sit somewhere between these, right? Between 1,000 rupee to a, 8 or 10,000 rupee price point. That can I get a good quality product which provides genuinely good quality, and I'm okay paying a certain premium for that. That was one of the biggest insights that we had, right? When we were doing a survey, about 68% people mentioned that they use Zara for their everyday use because there is no other option, right? And when you see, a market which is dominated by only just one Western brand, there is a space and there is an opportunity for you to create a good quality product that consumers are happy to, kind of pay a certain premium for that.
So I want to make that point that I was making is, as a user, I think that's a very valid point that you made. There's a huge gap, which I've been feeling as a user for long, because you buy something for 10K, around 10K, which you're always kind of concerned to use every day, right? Correct. Because it's something that was not meant for every day. Correct. But you're using it because you don't really have an option in the mid range, right? Every day, right? Correct. So it is in the same way. Absolutely. So from that perspective, I think you're addressing a very big market. But I want to talk a little bit about the market. What is the problem currently in this market, in your fragrance market? What is the big problem?
So see, first, obviously, there's a huge gap. There is nothing, no one in the middle, right?
But there are a lot of players who are trying to do their bit, right? The Bella Vitas of the world.
Again, Bella Vita, huge respect again, but they will come on the mass sort of a segment where largely they are priced between 500 to 1000 rupees.
Yeah. But he's built a big company.
They have built a big company. There is a huge market still for them, right? But in the last 5-6 years, there is a huge chunk of Indian consumer which is premiumizing at a very faster pace, right? They have got all the exposure post COVID. Travel has increased as like anything, right? They have got the best of the experience out in the world, right? With obviously a lot of startups also post COVID, people have earned a lot of money. People have tasted a lot of good things. They are premiumizing, right? They are appreciating good things. But when it comes to fragrances, again, as I mentioned, there is on the one side there are the mass brands, on the one side there are high-end Western brands. There is no brand recall, brand value apart from, let's say, probably a Titan Skin, which a younger Indian consumer doesn't relate with, right? Anywhere.
No, not at all.
But they are in that sort of a point where people now want to graduate to. And obviously there is Zara, there is Marks and Spencer. But as per our survey, as Prateek mentioned, right, more than 60% of the people were using Zara for a daily basis, and again, same, they were not satisfied. One is, it's very generic, right?
It doesn't have a character.
It doesn't have a character.
Correct.
Lasting is again an issue. Having said that, lasting has a lot of variables, which we also need to graduate as Indians, right? If you see in the West, people don't mind applying 10 times. But we as a consumer today also want ki we spray and stays throughout the day, night, wherever. But it doesn't happen because there are a lot of factors to it. In what sort of environment you are, right? Where have you sprayed? What sort of activity you are doing? What sort of profile it is?
But that's also related to misinformation at the sales counter, right? Because I've seen that happening many a times. I'm sure people who are watching may relate. When you go to buy a perfume, and if he's trying to upgrade you and sell you an expensive one, he would almost always sell the longevity of the perfume. Correct. That's probably the only selling point they've been taught, right? Ab laga lo aur phir pure din.
It depends on the profile as well. For example, an aquatic profile, they are very lighter in basis, lighter in weight, so evaporates very, very fast. No matter what you do, it will evaporate. There are heavy bases such as oud, leather, right, wood, which stays on your skin for a longer time. Okay. Obviously, then it also depends on your craft of your perfumer, how well they have, crafted all the ingredients together. What we see today, right, on a perfume, there is a top note, heart note and a base note, right? That is what we see. And there are couple of ingredients. But if you look into it, in a perfume, in just one fragrance, there are more than 50 ingredients, 100 ingredients that goes. On top you see, okay, there is a citrus, there is bergamot, there is lily, there is rose, there is amberwood or sandalwood, right? But in reality, there are more than 50, 100 ingredients. And each one is having his own character, own composition. So a perfumer can craft a fragrance really well, but at the end of the day, a profile, aquatic profile will evaporate faster. So obviously, today Indian consumers are not that stage. Obviously, they will realize with time, right? It cannot be that way. Having said that, I think long lasting is one issue. Second, very very big issue is largely all the fragrances smell very very synthetic in nature. They smell cheap, right? Very gives sometimes an headache as well. You can smell it, right? You can just tell the difference between a very good fragrance that there is smells very synthetic, smells very cheap. That was one of the major issue for people who are looking for a daily use fragrance, right? Those were the two main pillars that we built our product on, apart from obviously how we don't want to be just a function, right? And if you even see our obviously brand thesis, brand positioning, even the names I right are very very right on the face of a consumer, how they want to feel, what that personality they want to embody in that moment, right? We don't believe a human is just one personality. They have hundreds of them. I might not be the same in front of my family, my friends. That is what we wanted to build.
Let's talk a little bit about building the company. And you've been in this journey for about 8-9 months now.
Around an year.
Yeah, around a year. So, what have been the high points and low points? High point, I would expect seeing your website live and product reaching to customer. What have been the low points? Where you felt, yeah, this is too difficult for me, and I don't think this is the right thing to do, and we should think something else.
I don't think I'm saying on both of our side, right? I don't think there has come a situation where we felt ki yaar, we are not doing something right. Obviously, there have been challenges, right? There are hundred of challenges because the approach we took, right? We did not go to a direct contract manufacturer just in product. Now there is a different bottle vendor, there is a different perfumer. Our packaging is coming from somewhere else, bottling is happening somewhere else. So there is a lot of stakeholder management that you need to do. That is one. Second, no one really sees your vision as okay, two chap has come in, right? They don't appreciate. They don't see the kind of vision you are building your startup. They want to see scale, and obviously as a young startup or people who are trying to build, you can't give the MOQs or everything, so you need to manage those relationships, convince them to believe in your vision, right? Which is challenging. Then obviously the branding aspect, we fundraise aspect also, we spent 4 months as Prateek mentioned, right? We would have given 25-30 pitches at least. So not everyone was a yes. Yes was just 3 of them. So obviously we have failed a lot of rejection along the way. I think those will be the larger lower points, I would say. But having said that, I don't think so there has been an instance where we felt we questioned. We never, I think that belief has been very very strong. The conviction, absolutely. I think that's where our starting point come when I said ki we wanted to build something where we are really passionate about. It's not something we are entering into something.
It's not a fad. It's not a fad that you're chasing.
Yeah.
Acha, product, building the product, uh, creating marketing strategies and ensuring it reaches in the hands of consumer and operations. These are 3 different things.
Yes.
So, which has been more difficult or easier to manage for you?
I would say marketing, I think. See, as young entrepreneurs who are building something, a lot of that vision is almost always inside you.
Yeah.
Right? The value that you see in your product is almost always in your head. You're always thinking on the back of your mind about it. But to clearly articulate it, to the consumers in whatever collateral that is coming out of the company, I think that becomes much more challenging. And I think it was more challenging than we expected it to be. But I think it's a great learning phase for us. Like, we both don't come from a marketing background, right? And we are, the only thing that helped us was, kind of asking for help as and when needed. And marketing, in itself is a huge beast. Like, people only consider marketing as a fad, right? That, it's only to lure customers or, to fool customers with. But if you do an honest marketing, if you honestly put out what you're trying to build, people appreciate it, right? And that's what we have also been kind of learning on the way, that whatever we have as a vision and an honest thing, we will put out that into our marketing efforts.
So one of the issues that I want to touch upon is which has become very prevalent today, and a lot of D2C founders complain about it, and there are forums where they talk about logistics issues. That's a demon in India, right?
Yeah.
Managing logistics, and especially product like yours, which is glass bottle, kabhi toota pahuncha, kabhi gayab ho gaya, all those things. You face all those problems?
Absolutely. I think there is something again which we realized very early in our first week itself, that a couple of orders that the consumers had placed, they received an empty packet.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, and unfortunately, one of the orders was from our investors. Which funnily, the last experience that you want, the last the worst experience that an investor could have from your product, right? But and these are the stories that we used to, hear back in 2014 when Flipkart had launched that, somebody ordered a phone, but they received a stone or a brick inside, right? We are now experiencing that it happens, right? Uh, See, people who are delivering these goods are human beings, right? The last touch point to the consumer is the most, I think, demonizing. Before that, I think everyone, a lot of companies have solved it through tech, right? Right from our warehouse where we have products like how it is packed, we can extract videos in real time, right? Like how the product was packed. So until the product leaves your warehouse and it reaches to the person who's delivering the product, until that everything is solved. You have enough proofs and evidences that you can, at every step of your journey, you can capture what's happening. But once the product is at the hand of a delivery boy, after that you don't really have any control, right? So that is something we are kind of now working with our logistics partner to also figure out solutions to it. We already have like a couple of solutions in mind that we want to implement in the packaging itself. Also, a lot of thing, I think, there is an onus on us as brand builders that we communicate this to consumers actively, that if they receive a damaged product or if they receive a damaged packaging, they should not accept the order and they should raise the complaints immediately, right? So it becomes a challenge of managing the customer experiencing and then managing your operations.
But many a times you wouldn't come to know, no? If it's sealed and all, how would you know if it's
Correct,
broken inside?
absolutely.
There's no way to.
So you can't really, punish the consumer of, that they have accepted the order. And a lot of companies, enforce these rules where they ask consumers to make unboxing videos, which I feel as a consumer is not optimal, right? Like I receive 10 packets in a day. If I keep making videos of every packet,
That's a suboptimal
Yeah,
experience.
it's not the right thing to do. Yeah, agreed. अच्छा एक बात बताइए कि इंडियन फ्रेग्रेंस मार्केट में अभी क्या बड़ी बड़ी कैटेगरीज हैं. एक तो डीओ है, एक आपका ये दिस इज ईडीपी एंड ईडीटी दैट यू सेड. Is this how the market is categorized? What is the market size? What is the kind of share split between these categories? Which is
Generally, market is around 1.5 2 billion right now, 2 odd billion,
Okay.
right?
and what is the
it's
CAGR with which it's growing?
growing rapidly at around 15 odd %.
Okay.
It will be around 4.5 billion in 3 to 4 years.
Interesting.
And obviously, premium category,
Must be
like
growing
above
much faster.
1,000 is around 20%.
Base बहुत छोटा होगा.
Base छोटा है, but it is again growing around 20%. So that is very very huge. Even players like Nykaa, which is sort of a positioning they have incurred is for premium products, right? Be it makeup, be it body care, be it fragrances.
Yeah.
A lot of their GMV is now coming from fragrances. They are looking to open just fragrance stores, premium fragrance stores as well. Even if you see very very high-end brands like Amouage or a Diptyque, now they have opened their stores in India. You see airports how many niche and bigger brands are coming in duty frees. It's a testament of how consumers are involving. Obviously, there are anecdotal points which you need to see around you, that how consumers are premiumizing, how they are appreciating fragrance as a segment. Obviously, then it is categorized into mass, first deos, and then obviously fine fragrances. That's how largely the market is divided.
So deos and fine fragrances.
Fine fragrances.
And what will be roughly the split between these two?
I think it's 60-40 if I am not wrong, but it's deos as a market is sort of degrowing now. Yeah. Even I'm not sure if you have seen brands like Fog. They are also now playing on the fine fragrances. I've seen few ads again. They are banking on the fine fragrances, moving away from deos.
So is it because the journey has become more towards premiumization that people want to invest in fine fragrance than in deo, which is kind of considered a very daily use kind of stuff?
No, I think now fragrance are also becoming a daily use. Sorry, the perfumes, I would say. One reason is deos also you get at 350 bucks. Then there are perfumes you are getting at 500 rupees, right? But the overall perfume experience is slightly more, bigger than basically deos. Deos are largely now restricted towards working out. In that also people are now using body mist, lighter fragrances as well, rather than shifting from deos.
So while you're focusing on online and D2C right now, you guys are also available on e-com platforms?
So not right now. That's yeah. So for at least the first 6 months, we intend to operate from our D2C website, and that's a conscious decision that we have taken, right? One, because we want to understand the consumer data, because you get a lot of first party data when you operate from your website, right? So we want to understand that data more deeply. And then also, since we are building a premium brand, you can control the narrative and you can control the experience of the user when you land the user on your website, rather than when you are listed on a marketplace or a quick commerce business. So those were the two key points which kind of led us to keep for the first 6 months only the D2C, and then eventually we'll start be available on quick commerce and e-commerce also.
Yeah, because eventually the scale that you will require tomorrow can only happen when you shift there. And what about offline strategy? Do you have any strategy for offline?
Yeah, so see, on offline we have two perspectives. One, we want to partner with new age retail formats which are coming, right? Something like a Broadway, which is a premium retail outlet, right? Something like a Zen Zebra, which has kiosks in corporate offices, right? So we want to be present at those places. That's an MBO sort of a model, right? Where multiple brands are available. And eventually when we have like good enough scale and we are able to identify one city where like we have actually won, we'll plan to open our exclusive stores also, right? And that's the kind of experience we want to give to the users, where this ties back to our name, why we named it Fifth Sense, that the store will be an experiential store where the consumers can actually feel all the senses when they enter that particular store. So for example, there will be music dedicated to each particular fragrance that we have, because music and fragrances, they have a similar impact on a human being, right? There will be raw materials that you can potentially touch and feel, right? Everyone knows there is oud, or there is maybe a note like bergamot or a note like vetiver, but nobody knows what it feels like in real life. So we want to also provide that experiential shopping and experiential buying to those consumers. And obviously, like next is flavors, which we also have a lot of food and mocktail options or cocktail options which are paired with fragrances, right? So we want to touch all of the senses of a human being when they enter that particular store. And that's the kind of experiential retail outlet that we want to open. If you see in today's era, like people want experiential shopping, right? The normal random format of opening 100 feet, 100 square feet outlet doesn't work anymore. People are looking to upgrade their shopping experience.
I get it. Now, I have this question in my mind which I want to clarify. Say the people who are looking at this and they want to get a layman's perspective on how to buy a good perfume. When you go there, there are hundreds of choices. Yours would be one of them. But realistically speaking, irrespective of what the salesman says, what should you really look at when you go to buy perfume?
See, I would say one thing first. Don't buy a perfume in 5 minutes, right? Generally, how the tendency of the people are, they try 10, 20 of perfumes. Within first 10 seconds, they decide which one to buy, right? Technically, that's not how you buy perfume. A good perfume, right, stays on your skin. It evolves during hours, right? Initial 30 minutes is just the top note.
Okay.
Then 2 to 3 hours, right? It is the heart note. Then there is a base note which lingers. Ideally, if you are buying a perfume, you first obviously shortlist which one do you like. Just spray and just roam around for a couple of hours in the mall or wherever you are, right? If you're buying offline, obviously. And then decide which one to buy, which one you like more. Because just 10, 20 seconds, you are, not even going, you're not even understanding the, profile of a fragrance. Fragrance is much deeper than that. A good fragrance evolves, as I mentioned. I think that's the one big thing I would say. And then I think fragrance is a very, very personalized category, right? There can be a fragrance which I like, you don't like, he don't like, or either way, right? It is a very, very personal choice at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You will know which one you like, but spend at least couple of hours just sniffing around, understanding the profile of a fragrance and not deciding in the first 5 minutes.
That's a very good suggestion. I think it's a very valid, useful suggestion for people who are watching, including myself, because I'm also trying to shift and see what all options have come up now, including yours. I'm going to see. Now, in your industry, is there a gold standard? Someone you feel that, okay, this guy has done something.
An Indian brand which has done very, very well would be Bella Vita only, right? They have created a category in India for perfumes, I would say.
Yeah.
They were the pioneers.
Yes.
They shifted the entire consumer base from deos to perfumes. I think we really look forward to Akash as well, right? The way he has created, obviously in a very, very different price segment, I would say.
Yeah.
I think they would be the one who sort of created this wave in India.
और वैसे अगर आप बात करें परफ्यूम इंडस्ट्री अक्रॉस द ग्लोब, brand which stands tall above everyone else, what would that brand be for you?
I think one brand which I really like is Lee Labo. It's a New York-based artisanal fragrance brand,
Okay.
right? Which does not operate in a very mass market or it's very exclusive. It's very artisanal in nature. They are not again like a fast fashion or something, right? They have a very limited range, and they curate every fragrance thoughtfully, right? It's an expensive brand, although because your craftsmanship and everything comes at a price. So that is one brand that we really admire, which is also giving like a tough competition to your famous fashion houses in US, right? So that's the kind of benchmark that we want to kind of achieve, where we also inculcate a lot of perfume talent in India, right? We like surprisingly, in India when we were researching, there are multiple perfumers available who are very good at their craft.
Okay.
People generally, and they're working for Western and European brands, which we feel that as a country we should really inculcate that talent. And we personally have a vision where we make perfumery as a subject or as a talent mainstream in India. Like people should kind of gravitate towards learning perfumery. Like chef, right? You have multiple institutes for chef. Have you ever kind of seen a perfume institute in India? Not really.
So that's precisely why I asked that question, that where are those connoisseurs who are building it for you? Because we don't hear about them, we don't know about any institute that does that.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So we are looking forward to a fifth sense school of perfume.
Absolutely. I think
Definitely.
that's
That's
one of the
the-
visions that we have, that, we want to inculcate the talent in India. And if you look at, Kannauj as a city, we were distilling natural oils well before grass even existed, right? We don't really value all of that in our country anymore. We all have been fed with a lot of fast fashion brands, churning out products every 15 days. I think the slow craftsmanship deserves the attention, right? And it deserves its moment.
No, I think it's getting its due now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are changing their mindset and everybody is realizing that it has its own unique value which needs to be taken care of and respected in the way it should have been done earlier as well. Now let's do a quick rapid fire round. Okay? And both of you need to answer separately.
Done, done, done.
Uh, one quote that you read somewhere and you've not forgotten and it's become like the guiding light for you.
I think focus on the karma, don't worry about the result is one quote I think I hold very closely to my heart, I think every day. Or Bhagavad Gita, I think that's the one quote.
How about you?
For me, I think fall back 100 times but rise up again. I think that is one thing which I always keep at the back of my mind. And it has come a lot lately that, while building a company or a product or a brand, there are a lot of moments which you feel that, you have been bogged down by a lot of circumstances. But as an entrepreneur, you need to rise up again. You need to, kind of fight back. So that is one thing which really stays.
One book that has genuinely impacted you.
I think I would say again same Bhagavad Gita, yeah, absolutely.
you?
There's a book by Ben Horowitz, Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Yeah,
Right.
recent.
Yeah, so that's one book which has really kind of stayed with me. I read it like, about 3-4 years back. And I understood like the journey of him building his own company, hiring his team and then firing also a couple of close people that he was working with, right? How hard it is to, kind of part ways with people or build your company the way you have, always thought of. So that really stayed with me as, a great piece of book.
Lovely. One person you look up to.
I think being a exposed person, I really look up to Gautam Gambhir,
Okay.
right? He's not someone who has been in the highlight along, right? But has always sort of performed in crucial stages. Is a right example how hard work and perseverance can take you to places, right? It need not be just talent, but a lot of other factors. So I think he's one of the person I really look up to.
Oh, I was imagining someone like Sachin or Virat Kohli because as a cricketer, that's what, suddenly it flashes in the mind, right?
I've been a left-hand batsman myself as well, right? So obviously I
What about you? One person you look up to?
I think I've recently become a lot fond of Shashank Mehta, who's the founder of The Whole Truth,
Okay.
right? And I think the way he has built his brand over the past, I would say 8 or 10 years, that's phenomenal, right? Protein as a category in India was always looked for like gym bros, black boxes, always very non-inclusive, women always shied away from those bulky boxes. He made that kind of, accessible and protein as a category approachable for everyone,
Yeah.
right? Earlier, protein was always key if you want to build muscles, if you want to, kind of have a bulky body or anything, you eat protein.
Yeah.
But then through his own narrative of, losing weight onto a fitness journey and then building that brand, I think I really look forward to how he builds in public. People know the Whole Truth brand by Shashank Mehta. I think that is one place where like I would really want to be.
So the last question before we say goodbye, there would be people looking at you and thinking that these guys are ahead in the journey, and I'm just sitting on fence and thinking about whether I should do this or do that, and I'm not sure about whether I should do it at all or not. So what would you like to tell those people who are willing to take a plunge, fascinated by startups and building something of their own, but are unsure?
you should know the why very clearly. Why are you starting up? I think that's the most important part. It cannot be just that you are fascinated by startups or you heard 10 stories people getting a exit of 1,000 crore and 100 crore, right? That's not, I think, the right way to build. Right way would be why are you starting, right? What's that conviction that you are starting with? Because a very very long and tedious journey, it's a very very lonely place at the same time, right? If you have that conviction sorted, then you would be able to put through those years, through those months, very very hard. That is one. Second, I would say, I think branding, marketing is something is very very important. but you should focus more on product in the initial days, right? It's very, very important to spend those months, spend those years into the product first, nailing the product rather than, because entry to barrier has reduced significantly. There's no technically no barrier to entry in India right now when building a consumer startup or a consumer brand. There are hundreds of manufacturer you can just go out and build. But how will you differentiate? How can you build a product which people really care about, right? I think that will be my second advice.
On this, why Simon Sinek has written a very good book. Yeah? You've read that?
No, I have not read that personally.
You should read that. I think it's a very solid book. Yeah. How about you? What do you think? Two things that.
I think first thing I would say is talk to a lot of people, ask for a lot of help, and get your thing validated and get others' perspective also, like what you are thinking is right or wrong, right? There's obviously no right or wrong answer to it, but it gives you a lot of perspectives, right? If you're only thinking in silos, you are only restricted by your own thoughts.
Yeah. Sometimes we fall in love with our idea and then we choose to ignore other relevant voices, right?
Absolutely. So you should talk to a lot of people, and I'm not saying people who are only higher up you, even your colleagues or even your friends. You just randomly kind of pick their brains on what you are thinking. And second thing I would say is if you can build it with a co-founder, right? Solo journey is hard. Uh, People romanticize that a lot, but I think building with a co-founder gives you that certain cushion and that certain shoulder to kind of move forward with. Otherwise, it gets really, really difficult for you as an entrepreneur. Obviously, that's not set in stone that there are multiple companies that have been built by solo founders. But in today's time, there are a lot of things that you have to manage at your work. So having a co-founder, having a completely different view from yours really helps in getting things moving.
Yeah, it's like having a spouse, right? I mean, it's important, but not necessarily you'll get the
That's
best.
what my wife calls him. Second wife.
So how do you guys, you studied together and then you guys started working together. Now, how do you guys split your duties? What do you manage? What do you manage?
See, right now it's too early for us, right? We want both of our view in everything.
Okay.
To start with, right? It's very, very important to set that fundamental base right.
Yeah.
And once obviously we reach to that scale, we have built team, we feel ki the best efficient manner is to now segregate. But today I think it's a lot of brainstorming on every point, which is very, very important, fundamental when we are building the base for our brand.
So no duties are split. Everything is done by you together. Yeah. Both of you have veto.
Yeah, both of us we too.
Great. Such a pleasure to meet you guys. It's a brilliant thing that you're doing, and I wish you great luck.
Thank you so much.
And I wish to see you again when the company has moved to level 2.
Definitely. See you soon.
So that was our two young founders building a brilliant company called Fifth Sense in fragrance industry of India. We wish them great luck, and we hope to see what they achieve in years to come. Thank you so much.